everyone, we are in chapter 5, Turning Point in My Journey. So before we dive into this chapter, I encourage you to first listen to the previous ones if you haven't already. The context will enhance your understanding and connect you more deeply with the unfolding story. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. So stay tuned for the next chapter. And now let's begin for the chapter 5. The day started like any other day, but little did I know it would take a dramatic turn. Jack accompanied me to pick up my check at work. Well, he actually went to work while I was working. When he arrived at the HR representative, he asked him to step outside so she could speak with me privately. Closing the door behind her, she asked, "Is that your spouse?" And I nodded. She said, "Why does he want your paycheck?" She continued, "Are you sure you want to authorize this?" Without hesitation, I replied, "No." She handed me the check and added, "Take care." Those words stayed with me, resonating as both a warning and a gesture of support. Jack then drove to the local bank and insisted I will write the check and will sign the check into his account. While I didn't mind contributing financially, the check was a mere of $394 only, and he demanded every penny. I asked, "What about my car payment, gas, my insurance?" He brushed off my concerns with, "The next paycheck will cover that." When the following paycheck came, Jack was at work and I cashed it alone. I hesitated knowing the rest, but ultimately decided it was worth it. That night, Jack demanded I write him a check for $100, at 10% my earnings for tithes to the church. My monthly take-home pay was only $600. Then I told him, "Why would I give $100 to the church, Jack?" I asked him, and his answer was unwavering, "It's your duty." I countered, "Instead of me giving to the church, can I send my 10% to my family back home? They need it more. Our church leaders already live in luxury. They own multiple homes, expensive cars, and even a boat, huge boat in front of their house. My family struggled to make ends meet." And Jack's response was sharp. "Don't you talk about my church like that again." His tone was commanding, but I noticed a crack in his demeanor. I decided not to push farther, at least not yet. Every paycheck I handed over 10% of my earnings. Jack pulled this with his own contribution to the church, amounting to $300 to $500 each month. Meanwhile, my family received nothing, not a single penny. This is injustice gnawed at me, but I refused to let it break me. Instead, I began strategizing. I returned to the HR representative and made a quiet yet pivotal request. I arranged for $100 from each paycheck to be deposited into a separate account labeled as miscellaneous on my pay stub. If Jack asked, I could easily explain it was a way as a company deduction. For a year, I funneled the money to my family back home, offering them a lifeline Jack would never know about. Then there was the day Jack introduced me to his Japanese lady friend. He led me to her home and, without hesitation, accessed her garage. Yes, strange, isn't it? Inside, she greeted me warmly, but what came next left me reeling. Jack embraced her, kissed her on the lips, and called her honey. I played the role of a composed wife, hiding my shock and jealousy. We sat for a meal, chatted, and lingered at her house. But my mind raced with questions. On the way, I kept my silence. Jack smirked, clearly enjoying the reaction he'd provoked. So the following weekend, Jack and I visited the mall. He purchased an elegant gold and necklace and matching earrings. Holding them up, he asked, "Do you like this?" My reply was yes, assuming they were for me. But then he smirked and said, "They're not for you." I was so embarrassed, I stayed quiet as he paid. So we returned to the Japanese lady that day after purchasing the gold, where Jack presented her with the jewelry as a birthday gift. He hugged her, kissed her again, and addressed her with the endearing term honey. Meanwhile, I stood there, the wife who received nothing. Jack's behaviors hurt deeply, but it also steeled my resolve. Filipino wives are not to be underestimated. I allowed Jack to think he had control, but I was already setting my plans in motion. Abusers like Jack often believe they're clever, but their arrogance blinds them. Little did Jack know I had begun carving out my path to freedom. Thank you for listening to this pivotal chapter in my journey. The story only intensifies from here. So stay tuned for the next installment, and if you haven't caught up on earlier chapter, now is the perfect time. Until next time, stay strong. Remember, resilience is the key to reclaiming your power. Bye-bye for now.